Okay, my outstanding friends, I've just had some fabulous news from my friend Marguerite, who was over in Northern Ireland and has been working with me for 4 or 5 years at least on trying to get her son a little bit of relief from extremely severe autism, and she has. And as a result of that, she's gone on to do all kinds of research and went to Harvard for this microbiome research and so forth. This is very, very big now, and it's not well understood at the moment. I think I have a very good handle on this now. And it all has to do with enzymes. Enzymes are the catalysts, and the catalyst deal, the enzymes are only available if you have the correct bacteria. And if you have too much of a bad bacteria, it creates enzymes that will damage you. You have to have good and bad in most cases to balance each other. And I'll explain why, because you need to have things in you that will eat your body, because you slough off things of your body that actually have to be broken down and taken away. But you can't have them breaking down until they say, I want to be broken down. This is all a very, very sophisticated chemical dance. Now, I'm going to just try to make this a very easy to understand discussion about what causes these invasions of membranes. And primarily, I'm very, very sure these different autism and virtually all diseases are invasions. An invasion of what? Invasion of the membrane. That's why you have specific types of cancers, and then specific types of variations even in moods and depression and all of that stuff. Your membranes protect every cell from invasion, and I'm talking all the way down to your blood cells have membranes. We're going to look at lysis first, but this is meant to be a little bit of a research discussion, because that's primarily what we're trying to do, is to discover how are we going to find out what the normal microbiome is prior to and just after different types of medical interventions, all of them, whatever. Antibiotics, vaccines, different diseases, different exposures to different toxins, everything. And even genetically modified foods, because those are modified to allow plants to not be poisoned and let them live. And you can spray the stuff, it'll kill everything else, but it won't kill that plant because it's got a genetic alteration. It says, I won't die if you spray on this particular type of toxin. However, the plant obviously is going to take that toxin in, I would imagine, and then you're going to eat it, and the stuff in you is biology. It's literally plant life inside you. Basically, it's the same stuff as plant life. And if you're eating something that kills plants, you're killing your bacteria. It's basically the same stuff. Now, what is it killing? Is it in certain areas? And there's also different water sources. There's different food sources. There's different, everything has its own little enclave of characteristics. There's so much to think about in a database, but to be able to figure it out, to even start, we have to know what the bacterial populations are in the body of these people we're testing and we're trying to get a database on. And then sooner or later, if you get sick or whatever, you go in and they check you and they say, oh, you don't have enough of this bacteria, you don't have enough of that enzyme, whatever it is. And right now, probiotics are your best. Well, I don't want to make any recommendations at this point, but we worked with probiotics and they helped to get the digestive system on regularity. If your digestive system's working perfectly and you poop correctly and everything works in that area, you're usually pretty good. That means you're digesting your food, you're breaking down the stuff you have to break down, you're killing the toxins that are trying to invade you, you're not getting inflammation, you're not getting membrane damage, and that's exactly what it is. And these bacteria and enzymes and viruses are so specific that they attack exactly one specific type of membrane, because that specific type of membrane has to have a specific chemistry because it is protecting a specific type of chemistry. Liver has a lot of toxins. Your heart and your lungs have a lot of blood and have a lot of rubbery, movable stuff. Your I can't even think of your nervous system. All of that is coated with very, very, very specific membranes. And I'm trying to think of, I think it's the Schwann cells. I'd have to go through it. It gets pretty deep. But let's start with lysis. And what does that mean? It's destruction of cell membranes. And what causes it? Let's just take a quick run through this, because we have to have a full understanding of all of the little things at play here. And if I can make it in a quick presentation, when I say quick, it's probably going to be at least a half hour or so, but this should give you a very good understanding of what we're hoping to accomplish with the database. All right, so let's get started. All right, I did speak about the Schwann cells, and these are what these are. These are sheathing that surrounds the neuron fibers and the fibers in these glial cells. Now, it gets a little complicated, but there's myelinating, which means they coat the fibers. Let me come down here. There's a thing down here. Hold on a second. All right, this makes it kind of easy to understand, I hope. Myelinating sheaths are just like insulation that wraps around all of these nerves that have to move around and so forth. They have little nodes in them, these nodes of Ranvier, and I think this is where we could have the issue. But everything has to be able to move, so you can't have just a solid, it would crack probably, I don't know. But we're going to look into these nodes of Ranvier. This is the research will get very deep at some point, but the hope is that we can intervene where the chemistry is not right. You have to have a membrane here that protects you, and you lets your nervous impulses go through here. There's another one in here that strictly coats motor areas where you go and that's because there's an exact. Hold on a second, I'll show you. So here it is right here. The purpose of these Schwann cells is for insulation, to insulate the nerves so you can run. They're running. Look at this. And as a method of decreasing membrane capacitance in the axon, membranes can absorb the signals and it won't let it go. That's the capacitance. They take a capacity out of the signal, and then it messes up your reaction times and all kinds of things. The action potential jumps from node to node, right through here, in a process called salutary conduction, which can increase conduction velocity up to 10 times. Now, all of this is very, 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 very specific stuff. And there's other ones that just completely wrap motor sensory things. And they're very, very they're synthesized in a tissue-specific manner. Exactly what you need. Here's right here. Myelinating Schwann cells wrap around axons of the motor and sensory neurons. Motor neurons drive your fingers and do all kinds of things and form the myelin sheaths. I believe that is what is being damaged. Now, how do we change that? I'm not sure. But I can tell you one thing. All of this stuff is supported by catalysts, which are enzymes, and the enzymes are only available if you have the bacteria to create the enzymes. The bacteria are the factories that create the enzymes. The enzymes are the chemistry that goes out and does the click chemistry that we talked about, or certainly will. All right, this is the biochemical portion of it, biomolecules, and this click chemistry means done. And that's what a catalyst does, millions of times faster than it would happen if you didn't have that enzyme. And these enzymes are extremely specific. Okay, this is enough to get started with. Membranes. There's membranes everywhere on every single bit of every single tissue in your body. They're thin sheets of tissue that cover the body, line the body cavities, cover organs, everywhere. They're on your muscles, they're on your tendons, they're on bones, they're everywhere in your entire body. And there's not just these subcategories, there's literally hundreds of subcategories, including what I'm going to show you now, related to autism and emotional disorders and motor disorders, and all the things that drive your body have to connect through these little tiny fibrous tissues, and they have to be coated with some form of a membrane. All right, let's just start with the brain itself. Look at all these, these fibers and all these conduction areas. And this is protected by what they call the blood-brain barrier, so the big things can't get up there and interfere. But if you don't have the right chemistry and the right bacteria and the right enzymes floating through this interstitial highway, which is a fluid-filled highway, goes everywhere in your whole body, and these have to be supplied with nutrients and everything else. So something's getting up there, and these enzymes are very, very, very tiny. So I believe they're allowed in to do their job. And if you don't have it, you're going to have all kinds of this. The ones that control motor pathways are going to do something. Other ones that control emotion, and I'm talking about very, 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 very complicated networks. This is your brain. And all of this stuff has to be, I don't know exactly how it works, I have no clue. But I can tell you what, if it shorts out between all those little pathways, you're in trouble. Now, this is what a bacteria does. All right, you have to have the bacteria. If you don't have the bacteria, none of this is going to happen from what I'm showing you forward. You have to have the bacteria, which is a single cell. It roams your body in this fluid-filled highway, and they produce ribosomes. All right, the flagella makes them propel through this fluid-filled highway. The ribosome is a little capsule. It's what they call a capsid. And it comes out right here, just like this. And it has a sheath around it. The sheath unwraps, and then it turns into an enzyme or a protein. Now, what is an enzyme and a protein? They are the most elegant things you've ever seen. But don't forget, you never get this without the bacteria. The bacteria starts everything. All right, so now, what's the difference between an enzyme and a protein? There's really no difference at all. This is how this whole process happens. Ribosomes, you probably don't have to know about this, but this is all the different amino acids that are in your body, and they're like little program codes, and they hook together in different ways, and literally magnetic. They're literally magnetic, and certain ones will magnetize to other ones, and other ones won't. And if they're in a certain chain, then they feed into here, and they transfer that sequence into this ribosome. The ribosome goes out and creates the chemistry. All right, it's basically the enzyme, as I showed you. This is what happens. The ribosome comes out, and it's here, it unsheaths, and now you got this chemistry. And and this is why I can do click chemistry. You see that? That's like this. It all came out in one little thing, and it unleashed itself, and then it popped into this. That is an enzyme. All right, and extremely elegant. And if it's not exactly identical to that, it won't work. It has to be identical to that every single time, or it's what they call denatured. The nature is not there anymore, it won't work. So what are all these little spots all over the place? What's that? Those are its click chemistry, magnetic dipole moments. And that means they have to be here, and they're dipoles. They're looking for something to attach to or push away from. And all of a sudden it goes, boop, and a whole ton of them get changed instantly. Hundreds, thousands, millions of other little particles, all because of the click. It's like an electrocution of electricity. Boop, and they all get denatured and killed. And then this one isn't even destroyed. It goes to the next batch it finds and kills them. That's what an enzyme does. And if you don't have them, you're in trouble because you can't kill the invaders. You can't break down the food. This breaks down food instantly. Otherwise, some people pass the food right through them. It doesn't get digested at all, have terrible digestive problems. And the only way it can digest is with the enzymes. And the digestion happens instantly if it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's because you don't have the bacteria, you don't have the enzymes. That's the chemistry. All right? So not only does it break down your food, all of this bacteria, because otherwise you're going to have really bad poop. That's the key. When you see bad poop, constipation, diarrhea, gut pain, bloating, gas, you're not digesting correctly. You're just not digesting correctly. And then you're going to have breakthrough of your membranes, you're going to have all kinds of issues, and you're not going to break down the food that you need to make the products to make your life work. So it's a one big tangled web. All right, but it's all related to that one little bacteria. That's the guy that's in charge. This guy right here is in charge of your life. And there's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of species. Every one of them has DNA. You see this? Every one of them has its own DNA. All right? DNA. And that DNA says, I am going to be the guy that creates cytoextoblasmic nestronestus. They'll come up with some name. And that's it right there. And when that squirts out of there, it comes out and does just what I said. It unfolds. It comes out like this. The sheath comes off. And all of those little molecules come out of there. And then they go, bloop, and that's it. It's ready to go out and kill something or break something apart. And if you don't have both of those things happening, then you're in trouble. Plus, if you don't have the bacteria is the ones that go out and scoop up all the garbage and carry it down to the lymph nodes and do all that stuff. They'll go out and actually consume things. These can't really consume things. They can break them down, but they can't consume. Break stuff down does not consume. They can consume, carry the stuff over to the lymph nodes. The lymph nodes additionally break it down, and then it's squirted out into the excretory system. This is the problem with cancer. That layer right there, that's your immune system. And they never even realized this before. I'm not kidding you. I'm going to show you in a second. And once it breaks through that layer, you're in trouble. And that's when it grows and it gets down into your good stuff, and it can get plenty of nutrition. And they grow, and you can't get rid of them because you don't have the bacteria to fight back. Now, if you replace the bacteria, sometimes you're going to be in good shape. And here's what they just discovered. Look at this. This is March of 2018. Meet your interstitium, a newfound organ. Here it is right there. That's where that membrane, the enzymes run through here, and all the bacteria runs through here. They grow in these cells. These are the little immune cells. You see that? And this is what they call an interstitium. By the time they had it in the autopsy room, they were flat like a pancake, so they never saw it before. I was seeing it because I was doing research on these soft tissue mudfossils. I named them. So that's a whole other issue. But this is where you have to have those bacteria to create the enzymes. Once it gets through this area, and you're always being invaded up here, no matter where this is, whether this is the coating of an organ, or it's the coating of your digestive system, or it's your skin, you're always being trying to hit through there. This is a no man's zone. You get through here, and then you're in trouble. Then you're starting into your cancer, inflammation, oozing, it makes a mess. Let's put it that way. And that's cancer. So hopefully you understand, in order to have all of these little jobbers coated, and you see all these different colors, every one of those is going to have a different type of chemistry. It's just the way it works. It's just no difference. It's not all the same stuff. It's not like, one color of paint and you paint everything. No, you have to have that kind of paint and this kind of paint and that kind of paint, and every one of those is a different molecular structure. And the only way you get that is with the different bacteria creating the different enzymes. Okay, here it is right here. From January 9th, 2023, the microbiota gut-brain axis is now recognized as playing a role in mental and brain health. Promising preclinical and clinical data suggest fecal microbiota transplants, which is FMT, may be efficacious for treating a range of mental illnesses. And they range. It's just like every other disease. There's all kinds of different diseases. But until you replace that bacteria, you can't combat the disease. And the same thing with this, with the nerve fibers. And I'm pretty sure this is what's causing, well, let's put it this way. The whole reason we're trying to get this done is to build a database of what a healthy gut is like. They poop every day. It's like a sausage. It's just perfect, and they never have any gut distress. There's no health issues. Everything's fine. What exists in that poop? Literally. Versus a person's got diarrhea, constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease. It goes on and on and on. And trust me, I've studied all of them. And they all have the same basic problem. Is tissue invasion. It's breaking through the membrane. The membrane has to protect itself. It's not protecting itself if it doesn't have the right chemistry. It won't have the right chemistry if it doesn't have the right bacteria. It's not a big hard thing to understand, but nobody has done the research yet, and I'm hoping North Ireland will. And I applaud Marguerite, and I applaud the members of Parliament over there. Apparently she's been in touch with them, and they're all standing behind her and saying, yes, we have to do something for the kids. We have to do something for the world. Northern Ireland is going to be seen as being heroes at this, because I have had no other interest from anyone so far. And Marguerite's son was nonverbal, and they were going to put him in a locked ward. That's how they're dealing with a lot of these kids. There's just nothing they can do with them. And they're nonverbal, they're aggressive, they're all kinds of problems. And he's become basically a member of society now with some very simple interventions. And you're seeing this right now. And it's all got to do with the poop. The first thing I said to her, I said, what's this poop like? Oh, all the kids with autism have that. I said, no. Then we started down the road of getting his gut in order, and very quickly he became verbal, and now she's helped. Apparently, she's said about 500 different families over there. This has been going on for several years, of really trying aggressively to reach out to the authorities, basically, to say, look, let's take a look at this. This can help. And now she's getting some reaction. And it's rare to see politicians agree on anything, but apparently she said they're all stepping on board here because they've seen, I guess she's helped two or so of these members of Parliament. Their kids had autism, and she's helping them, and they're responding as well. So it is in the gut. It's in the gut. It's just now got to be put into a database where we can really analyze this and not just say, oh, yeah, just throw them one of these, throw them one of those. Well, maybe that'll work in the end. I don't know. But I like to see the details. And this is how we can find out the details. This is the only way. And it doesn't have to involve any special information about anybody. All you have to do is send in a fecal swab and a questionnaire. That's all. And you know, the database has to be built, and there's got to be some equipment and so forth. And I do know people in this realm. I have a friend, he's a triple PhD bacterial engineer, and he does food testing for pathogens and so forth. And I'm sure he is willing to help. I know he is. A nice guy. Anyway, we're starting to build a little bit of a network here. And if we can get a home base over here in North Ireland that looks into this, and maybe we can get some funding from around the world, everybody's got the same problems. And everybody's got problems with money too. So, somebody's going to have to put up a little bit of money, not a lot. I don't think it's going to take a lot of money to do this. A database is just a simple spreadsheet. And, somebody's going to have to input the data, but if it comes in a electronic format, it could just be imported. And eventually we'll get some kind of a pattern. That's the hope. So hopefully this has been enough to get you started thinking. And Marguerite, God bless you, my little friend. You're doing a fabulous job. And if it wasn't for you, this would not have happened. All right? So thank you. And I hope your comrades over there will do what they can do to help. And I hope everybody around the world will pay attention to this, because it could be your kids next. All right? And illness happens all the time. And why? This is not just for mental illness. This is right across the board. Everything is basically invasion of membranes. So cancer, the whole 9 yards. And they have had success with all of that stuff, with these fecal matter transplants. It's just sort of hard to pop up through the surface with this. It's a little outside the normal realm of thinking, but believe me, they know it works. And it's known as it works since Hippocrates, thousands of years ago. He said all disease starts in the gut, and I agree. The gut is where the bacteria is where the enzymes are where the chemistry is. All right, so thank you, and I love you all, and hopefully we can do something for these poor kids and these families. This is that disease, or every disease. It's not just the person who's got the disease, it's everybody that's involved. And if we can help any part of that, at least it's something. And in order to do that, we have to start making an effort. And that's what I'm hoping for now. All right? I love you all. Bye.